Yeah.
Oh, Megan, would you
Same
mind?
here.
Oh,
I think, yeah, I think we're gonna start. We'll probably get to that. Oh, cool, Angie. All right, so let me get going with just the announcements, and this is awesome. Okay, so welcome everyone. This is still our Palooza, our fourth Activity Strong Summit. As a reminder, Activity Strong is this initiative that we at NCCAP started to acknowledge and educate and empower activity professionals and life enrichment professionals. We do this with amazing organization, Activity Connection, NAP, and NCCAP. Before we get started and kind of answer the question of why do we have these things on, I just want to, Michelle, I just saw you. It's like, this is amazing. I'm not going to be able to read this, so you all need to stop 2 seconds. So just as a reminder in terms of housekeeping, we can earn up to 6 NAB, NCCAP, NCTRC, and or NCCDP credits today. To earn the credit, you need to attend 1 full session or up to 6. Please fill in the survey no later than June 30th at the end of the day, so we can process these again up to 6 CUs. Given the high number of people, I think multiple times we broke our Zoom room, we'll get our CUs by email no later than July 7th. If you have any questions, please send them towards webinars with an S, webinars@linksenior.com. Excuse me. As a reminder, this session is being recorded, and the great thing, given what we all have on our heads, to have proof. And obviously we're using Zoom, and with Zoom we have the chat and the Q&A features that are enabled. And just to chat with everyone, please make sure you select everyone so that everyone can see your amazing contribution. So how did we get here? That's just a great question. I think it kind of started with Stacy and Bryan deciding to have fun together, right? Stacy and Bryan decided that they will do this sparkle on Facebook. And I want to pause here and just thank you, Bryan. Bryan Rife is with NCCAP. I want to thank you, Bryan, for all challenging us with this concept of sparkle. I never thought I would have a unicorn thing on my head in Zoom in front of hundreds of people, but you allowed me to do that just with a simple invitation. And obviously, I'm having fun with it, and I'm sure the rest of our panelists is. So with that sparkle that Bryan then did with Joanne, one of them was with Stacy and with Angie and Michelle, and we had so much fun that we decided to do it again, which is why we're all here. But in all seriousness, we are also here to talk about something, I don't want to put this word serious too much in my mouth, but we are also honored to have 3 amazing leaders. So a lot of what we're going to do now is obviously have fun, given our, little kind of, thank you, Michelle. But we're also going to talk about serious things, right? And so to help me manage this conversation and to make sure it doesn't go in every single direction, which it might, I am very pleased to be joined by Bryan Rife and Joanne Kaldy, who are going to be our anchors today. And we are joined by Stacy Flint, Strategic Marketing Specialist with Winsong Memory Care, Angie France, Celebration and Expression Product Manager at Prestige Senior Living, and then Michelle Tassitano Amato, Director of Creative Arts Therapy, Kendall at Auburn. The way we're going to do this is that each professional is going to introduce themselves, and I'm just going to let them introduce themselves. And then Bryan and Joanne are going to help us navigate the conversation. So in order to get started, Stacy, would you mind? And Stacy, you want me to go through the slides, right?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Okay, so as you can see, my name is Stacy Flint. My life role is that of unapologetic joy seeker, and my day job is the Director of Strategic Marketing and Montessori Programming for memory care communities in Oregon, Washington, and Colorado. I worked in basically every level of memory care, got my degree in Human Development Family Sciences from Oregon State University, go Beavs, yeah, I've done home health activities, social work and long-term care, memory care, community relations, and now I'm here. Most importantly, my personal philosophy is that I come from a place of yes. both in my personal life as well as in my work life. You can move to the next slide. This is the organization I work for. I'm currently with Windsong Memory Care Communities. Like I said, we're located in Oregon, Washington, and Colorado. We are Montessori-inspired lifestyle communities and have been guided by Dr. Cameron Camp with the Center for Applied Research in Dementia. Shout out to Cameron, you were great earlier. And today we were asked, you can move to the next slide. I have 10 minutes, so I'm talking fast, which isn't hard. So today we were asked to bring to the table what our current challenges are. And within our organization, I think with everybody else, we all share this, it's re-engagement. You can move on to the next slide. I brought 3 strategies for us today. And you know, I look at just kind of give you an oversight. You know, I think it really begins internally with us. And this is sort of the strategy, that's the get your beans in a row strategy, right? Get your heads on straight. And then the next strategy is really an internal strategy within your organization. And then the third will be about external, like what you can, where you can access some resources in the external community, in the greater community. You can go ahead and switch. So when I talk about beginning with your mindset, I know when COVID came along, I think we were all kind of set back, right? We'd all been plugging along, doing our own thing, and you know, for the hopefully thriving. And then it was all of a sudden stop, right? What can we do? We can't be around each other. We can't be near each other. You know, in my specific situation, we're in memory care. And our residents went from an engaging environment to really being encouraged to stay in their rooms, which is challenging in and of itself. So I knew that I needed to, for my own headspace, to not go down that dark path too far. So I really became purposeful about my joy journey. I needed to lean into what if. At one point we were joining Zoom calls, and each time I had a different mask on or a different wig on. And one of my coworkers said that I was having a dress up days at my house all day long by myself, which was not untrue. But I knew that I had to find a reason to stay happy. And with that, you know, it was challenging. So I needed to look at some outside resources. I started walking a lot. I think we all sort of did that. It allowed space. And during that time, I downloaded some books. I came upon one that I really, really recommend that all of you folks that are listening today look into. I listened to it on an Audible. It's called Wonder Seeker by Andrea Scher. And it, you know, I listen to it, you know, constantly. When I'm feeling like I'm uninspired, I pull it up, I listen to 10, 15 minutes of it. And it really, really was a great resource for me to set my mind straight. The other thing that I found at a garage sale was this little book, and it's called 14 Things to Be Happy About by Barbara Ann Kipfer. I opened it up at the garage sale and thought, well, I have to have that. Then I sent it to every executive director in our organization, as well as a few of the ops people. I really think that this is something that you can literally just open it up and grab a few things off of it. It's very inspirational, tons of ideas, things that you don't think about. It helps you to appreciate the small things. It's not costly, most of the ideas in here, and it's really just kind of a jumping off point, again, to kind of keep you focused and, you know, just thinking about how I can seek joy in life. At the end of the day, that's really what we do as life enrichment professionals, is we are collectors of joy and collectors of dreams, and we are also the implementers of it. We are the doers of it. So really, to inspire others, you have to stay inspired. So you have to have these resources for your own mental health. And during COVID, I mean, I really needed it. And I usually live in that space, right? I really like to live in the narrative of what could be. So through utilizing these resources, I was inspired to create a list. I'm going to be 50 this year. And one of the things that the author talks about is really examining the things that you've done in your life that you want to do again. So I started creating that list. And it was everything. The 14,000 things to be happy really helped me also to kind of steer that, because there's things that we just stop noticing that we receive joy from. So I created this list. Then after looking over it, I realized that there are so many common experiences that really delineate age and culture and just remove those boundaries. So I started, just noticing that and recognizing that. I started thinking about, what do I want to learn? What do the people in my life have to teach me? What can I teach them? And what are their strengths? Going back to my Montessori background, just taking all of those things into account. You can go ahead and switch slides. So I kind of set my mind, right? I organized it. I went through and I batched things. And then I set out to learn about my audience. And, everybody's going to have a different audience, but for the most part, when you're a marketer and a life engagement specialist, your audience is, your residents, their families, as well as their staff, and then the outside world, right? So a lot of different folks have talked in the crossover between engagement and marketing, and it's very, very relevant. And it's very important for us to tell those stories. Side note to mention, there is a vision of senior housing that we are always kind of battling against. So we really want to lead with what it really is and what it really could be. So you go out, you learn about your audience. What are your resources for doing that? Do you have their life histories? Do you have experiences of your staff? Collecting all of that information. And that's really where you are creating the content for that inspiration or for that intersection. And where that intersection happens is where the gold lies, right? It's the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. In doing this, I found the most effective way to get this information was not through sitting in meetings and brainstorming. We're all going to sit down and come up with ideas. I had conversations with people. I shared my enthusiasm, and what I found was when I shared my enthusiasm and asked them what they were excited about, that they in turn shared theirs. And really, at the end of the day, this is your life engagement marketing plan. This is where you are selling it. This is where you're bringing the energy and you're consuming others' energy, and it really levels everything up, right? Talk about culture. That's where the culture lies, is through that buy-in. Your goal is to get folks excited and to allow them and create pathways for their opportunity to contribute. If someone is contributing, they take ownership. If they take ownership and everybody does it, they turn around and they share it. And I like to think of it as really our joy spreading pyramid scheme, but a good one, right? It really does work that way, and it really is infectious. And I've been so encouraged by listening to people today say this over and over again in their own special way. And just the fact that so many of my people are together it's really exciting. So you can go ahead and switch to the next slide. So after you've set your mind straight, you've looked internally, you've found the intersections, now go out into your community. I know a lot of us on social media, we will follow other senior housing communities, and that's not bad, but I encourage you to get out of that box. Look to other organizations. We don't always realize that dementia, aging affects all of us, right? We all know someone that's aging, and we're all headed there ourselves. But also dementia and other age-related conditions, that we are all impacted by that. So in reaching out to other industries, you don't know the leaders of those industries, they may want to get involved. What are the things that they're doing? I personally stalk a number of different industries on LinkedIn. And watch what they're doing. You can do the same things. You can partner up with them to do the same things. You can tell your story on social media and promote yourself through those partnerships. And then you have access to a whole new world that you never had access before. So it doesn't have to be local. Also, branch out, look in other areas, get beyond the box we typically put ourselves in. I've talked about the finding the intersections, but there are more intersections to find. So I spent a summer when I took over as community relations director in our first community, just getting out and seeing what people were doing. What were they spending their disposable income on? What were they how are they spending their disposable time, if you will? Why were they coming out of their house to engage in this? And what could I do that was similar in order to get them to come there? Considering what our residents, what our families would be doing if they were not involved in our communities. I mean, let's face it, who really is going, hey, on a Saturday, I'm going to go spend the day in a memory care. Typically, that's not high on the list. But if you've got something that's enticing, something they're interested in, something that engages them in their personal life that they were going to do anyway, and you bring them to the community, you offer it, they join you, then it just levels everybody up. Invite your residents to also participate in that. Have them, cross-reference their interests with the things that are going on in the community. In one of our organizations, we have a lot of folks that really like to go to garage sales and things like that. So our community in Tri-Cities, they did a junk in your trunk event where during COVID, they actually sold their parking spaces, and a lot of the swap meets and all of those kinds of things weren't happening because they were gatherings, but we did it outside. We socially separated them. We allowed people to bring their wares. Our residents built a huge lemonade stand. They actually built it. So, they used power tools, the whole bit, and they did specialty lemonades, which ended up being an amazing event. It was a huge fundraiser. And, so we want to get beyond just, the single level thing. I know a lot of people will do garage sales, but take it to the next level, stretch these ideas. I often say to folks that I work with in my marketing and life enrichment departments that if you've seen it before, run. Well, if you've seen it before, at very least, put your flair on it, make it interesting, right? Be unique, be unexpected. At the end of the day, people talk about, innovation, and they talk about being creative, but the juice, the real stuff, falls in the place of being unexpected. And I think that's with Linked Senior specifically what you guys have found is that you're unexpected. It's unique. People go, you know what? That's pretty cool. I want to be involved in that. And that's the reaction that you want, right? You want that reaction from your residents, from their family members, from your staff. And I will always say, always have eye candy. Hence, the unicorn inspired by, or the Bryan Rife inspired unicorn, always have eye candy. People attract towards that and start every engagement with music. I want to switch it to the next slide. I've got a few examples here. I know I'm kind of running out of time, so I'm going to bust through them and really focus on our trees of joy, because this is actually an invitation to you guys. We have recently begun a project where we are crocheting, and it really stemmed from that whole process of thinking about the things that I've done in my life that I want to do again. I crocheted as a child. I learned from my grandmother, and because I was really annoying, I would make all these things and they would send me out, go do something with them, because I was always wanting to sell them or something, which nobody wanted what I was making. So I attached them to our trees and I made tree sweaters. Well, it kind of came up in my mind again through this process that's what I wanted to get into crocheting again, because I received a lot of joy from that. And doing some research, I realized that it's called yarn bombing, and other people do this. And I had no idea. So we started talking about it at our communities, and there are a number of groups out there that crochet, that knit. So what we've done is we are yarn bombing all of the trees in front of our community. We've reached out to other senior communities, reaching out to all of you if you want to get involved. The senior centers, they all have groups like this, the high schools. Our end goal is to put trees of joy up throughout our communities, to invite people to do it themselves. I invite you all to do it. They really are beautiful, and we're really just getting started. We have family members that have said, we want a whole tree just for our family. We'll create signs. And when you stop and think about this, it really is full circle, right? We're utilizing Linked Senior as a guide for our residents. Our residents are creating, our staff has started learning how to do it if they didn't do it. They are the crocheting divas. Let's just put it that way. I have been all day today crocheting as I'm listening, so that I can contribute. But again, reach out to me if you want to get involved, or just do it and tag one of our communities or me if you post it, because I will get joy from what you're doing.
Thank you so much, Stacy.
Yes.
Just everyone, a quick note. Stacy asked me if there was enough pink on the slides she sent me, and I obviously said yes, absolutely. Angie, I'm realizing now that we have the same. We have the same unicorn thing. This is great. Thank you so much, Stacy. Angie, I'd love to hear your story, your perspective, and I'm happy to manage your slides as well if you want to.
Thank you, Charles. Hello, everyone. It's so great to have you with us today. I'm Angie France, the Expressions Memory Care Product Manager and Celebrations AL Product Manager for Prestige Senior Living. I've been with Prestige 12.5 years now. I started out, I'm sure as many of you, as a PCA or MedTech, and just have really had the opportunity to learn along the way as being a life enrichment director and Expressions Memory Care Director. And then finally, as an executive director for a couple of our communities. And now I'm the product manager. And I love that so many of us in senior living are promoted from within. And we wear so many hats. And certainly during the pandemic, we have worn many more hats and learned so many different areas of senior living. And I think it's just a great benefit for us. It really teaches us to pivot. And that's one of the big things that we do in life enrichment, is learn to pivot, not stress the small stuff, and just really to meet the needs of our residents. And that's always been my goal. It's been my heart, and it's what keeps me centered and brings me joy every day. We celebrate life story in our communities at Prestige, and we received the ICAA award in 2012 as being an innovator on life story. And a lot of communities do that nowadays, but we were on the cusp, and we really utilize that so much in our communities, as well as 100 Things About Me. And that's really where we draw a lot from for our activities and our engagement for our residents. Focusing on life story, a little bit about me. I have lived in Washington State in the Gig Harbor area for 23 years. I have 2 children and 3 grandchildren. My granddaughter will be receiving my unicorn headband, I'm sure after this. She's already begging for it. I love baking, quilting. Those are things that bring me joy, and I know bring our residents joy. I love the color red. My favorite food is tacos. My favorite ice cream is espresso chip. And my favorite kind of music is classic rock. And we put those kinds of things on our name badges in our communities to help our staff and our residents and families get to know us better. And I especially love Metallica. So next slide, Charles.
I kept on clicking on mute. Go ahead, Si.
So a little bit about Prestige Care and Prestige Senior Living. We do have 75 between skilled nursing, post-acute care, independent living, assisted living, and memory care communities. And we're located throughout 8 states on the western coast, from Alaska to Washington, Oregon, California, Arizona, Oregon, I said that, Nevada, Montana, Idaho, just so many different communities up and down the West Coast that we serve. And I oversee about 42 of those with life enrichment and memory care options and programming. Next slide. So one of the big campaigns that we've had for the last few years has been Not Your Grandma's Nursing Home. And, I just read an article recently about one of our communities, and they referred to it over and over again as a facility. And we really don't like that term. We are so far beyond a facility. It sounds so cold and unwelcoming. And so we really like to refer to our communities as communities. We're a group of people that are neighbors now who live in communal living. Even our expressions areas are called neighborhoods, because we want to really fulfill that in our residents' lives. And we want to show them that we are not just a place to live and to die, but we are a place to live. And we so much enjoy active aging. And I love that someone said once that aging starts at birth. And so I think that's a really great perspective to always remember that everyone who is born is aging, and it doesn't matter your age. You are so capable of so many different things as you age. And, one of the things that we find about our senior living communities and our residents is they don't like the word can't. And we use that word, I think, a lot during the pandemic and things that we couldn't do. But we're really coming out of that. And we really this year reevaluated what our campaign means about not your grandma's nursing home. And we're trying to get unstuck, remembering to invite those residents to come out and enjoy life in our communities. And so some of the things that we have done this last year for our marketing campaign are ways to really think outside the box. And our residents have been the biggest promoters of that. So a few years back, we do have communities in Nevada. And so some of our residents, they have gone to see the Chippendales or Thunder from Down Under and things like that. But we have some communities in small towns that are around in Washington and Oregon and so forth. And our residents said, well, we saw on the news and one of the ads that, one of the communities got to go see Chippendales, but we can't get on a plane and go there, but can we do that? And so there was a group of 10 ladies who signed a petition for us at one of our smaller communities who said, we want to have the right to be able to enjoy that type of entertainment as well. And so our team came together and they really facilitated that. They worked it all out and they talked about it around the small town and really involved the town in joining in on this great idea that the residents had at this community. So we had a local brewery who came before us and said, hey, we've got a big space that we would like to donate for one night of the week. And we're going to open it up so you can do this type of entertainment for your residents. You just have to find the entertainers. So we had another family member who was with us who said, well, I happen to know of someone who might have someone who could do that for you. They've had this done in the past at a bachelorette party. So let me reach out. And we found out, sure enough, this group of 5-6 gentlemen decided to join in. They had brought a couple friends along with them. And they said, we will do a night of entertainment, an all-male review for your residents, for your lady residents at your community. And so we got very excited. We come to find out, well, with coming out of the pandemic, we had other senior communities that were our competition, but they wanted to do it as well. And they didn't have a budget to do it. So we all came together. We put together tickets and invited those other communities to join with us to sell tickets to the venue for this great program. And our residents were so excited about planning. They first set up a temporary tattoo parlor the week before because they wanted to have some temporary tattoos to wear. They see all of our staff members having tattoos on their arms and the stories that they tell about them. And so they wanted to have that as well. And then they asked if they can invite their daughters, their granddaughters, their great-granddaughters. Of course, we were happy to allow them to invite anybody to come along. Then they wanted to dress up for the event. So you can see in one of the pictures in the middle here, and in the left one, that they had a cowboy hat and feather boas, and they all wanted to dress in pink and things like that. And so we really helped plan this for quite some time ahead to make sure that it could be an event for them. We're also all about growing census, right? And so we worked with our marketing team to get it in the news. The local newspaper and even a news group showed up to video the whole event. And you'll see the lady in the middle, dear Elma, 106 years old, who got to enjoy this grand event with her daughter, her granddaughter, and her great-granddaughter. And what a night it was for her. She's just a tiny spit of a lady who has a laugh that's just unbelievable, and a life that she has lived, and so many things that she has achieved in life. And she really wanted to be part of this. And so Elma really enjoyed every moment of it. She was even sticking in $1 bills that we helped provide for them to give tips. And it was just a great night for all of our ladies. There were some people, I will say, that pushed back on it and said, oh, you can't do that. That's not appropriate. Well, who are we to say what's appropriate for a 106-year-old who's lived life and done so many things in her life, and so many of our other residents? And so it was quite an event for them. We are so grateful for the fun times they had. And it certainly proved our point that we are not your grandma's nursing home. And what a wonderful time it was for all of us. Charles, the next slide, please.
Yeah.
Oh, and I will say about Elma too, while she did enjoy that so much, 2 months later, and her family allowed me to share this, is she did pass away of COVID. And that was a great memory for their family and for her to celebrate 106 years. So what a joy for her and for all of our team members that got to enjoy that. The next thing I would like to say is for Not Your Grandma's Nursing Home, I talk about not saying can't. And so our residents, as I've said, are the biggest proponents of fun. And we always, when we're looking at doing like incident reports and things like that, we're trying to put our CSI hat, looking at the crime scene investigation, trying to figure out what caused this fall or this incident and what can we do to prevent it in the future. Well, we kind of put on the FSI hats, the fun scene investigators hat. And so we're always trying to find things that create fun and enjoyment and laughter and just joy in our lives. And so a couple of other of our communities, the residents said, well, we want to do things like our grandkids do so that we can show them that we can go and enjoy things with them too. So one of the things that we did, some of our residents took off to go to Bullwinkle's, a fun amusement park that their grandkids went to. And so they said that we want someone to take pictures of us so that we can show our grandkids that we know how to have fun too. And we are not boring, just living in a nursing home. And so you'll see on the left, the zip line and the go-karts and the floating boats with the little water guns on them that our residents enjoyed. They certainly proved that can't is not a word for them. And our life enrichment director who set this up, she had a couple extra caregivers that they provided to send on a bus with them and to be able to make sure that they had plenty of people on hand to assist them in getting on and off the rides. But what a day it was, and so much laughter and joy for these residents who otherwise had not experienced anything like this in a long, long time. And then on the right, our other communities decided with all these incredible inflatables, including yes, the unicorn inflatables. They decided that they wanted to participate in a slip and slide. And we knew that we had to do it in a very safe way. People that were even in wheelchairs were assisted onto these floats and buckled in, and they pulled them down, the water covered slip and slide, and their hands were in the air and so excited for their success. And the joy and laughter was all part of this. And we just love the opportunity to be able to do that. And, one of the things that we look at, in our company is marketing and growing census, as I talked about. And growing census is not just about the numbers, it's about showing the life in our communities. And I think that is the biggest thing that helps us with move-ins. And I think our life enrichment folks are our biggest marketers. When you have someone come in to do a tour and you stop and you say hello and you've got something happening in your community that is being highlighted and they're hearing life and joy and laughter in your community, why would you not want to move in? And so my hat or my horn is off to all of those people that are doing that each and every day to bring that into the communities and really bring life to our communities. One of the other things I will say is seeing these pictures is that turnover is really big in our communities. And so growing that culture amongst your staff is so important to make them a part of it. And having these staff members, these caregivers and med techs and dietary aides all be able to come out and participate in this slip and slide has been such a benefit to helping retain employees, helping them to feel like, yes, they're doing a hard job and it's a worthy job, but also being able to have fun when they do it. And so including them in the activities is really important. I love karaoke in a community. That's one of my big things. And inviting staff members as they're walking through, as they're doing their tasks, to say, hey, stop, can you stop for 2 or 3 minutes and maybe sing a song with us? I think anytime we can invite them in to participate and maybe to dress up, wear their own unicorn headbands, is really a great thing to say, I made a difference today, not just in the care I gave, but in the fun I brought. And so that's always my encouragement. I know I have a whole trunk full of costumes, as Stacy and Melissa do, but we get to bring that to our staff as well and help them to have a really good time, even during the hard times, like through the pandemic, to help them feel safe and productive in what they're doing. Next slide, Charles. So 2 weekends ago, I had the opportunity to go attend a senior prom at one of our communities. And the hoopla about this prom had been going on for weeks throughout the whole town that it's in, another small town. And our executive director and our community relations director, as well as our life enrichment director, really came through and talked it up. They put flyers all over town. They talked to local cafes and local florists to see if they would be willing to make donations if we mentioned them on our Facebook pages. And our Facebook pages are full of wonderful things happening in our communities as a marketing tool, but also for families to see mom and dad are just not sitting in their apartment. They're getting out and having fun. And so one of the things that I also like to show with marketing is joining with your local community outside around your own senior living community. And, saying with maybe hospice care as well that's coming in, or PT or OT or those other home care agencies that are coming in, ask them if there's some way that they can contribute to helping. A lot of us run on really small budgets. I know Charles always talks about that, but finding ways that the community around you can contribute. And so we had a wonderful cafe that donated beautiful desserts and sandwiches and snacks for the senior prom. The parade was coming in town the next week. And so we had all the residents and the visitors elect a prom queen and king, and they got to ride in a convertible this past weekend. The local co-op for florists, they donated all the floral things for us. It was just a great coming together. But not only that, you'll see the young families, the young kids in the picture. They are from a family that's in the local community. They have no one at our senior living community there. But they brought their kids because they knew that it was going to be a nice, wholesome, family-oriented event. We had 5 or 6 families just show up with their kids to dance with the residents. And the smiles it brought to our residents, but the smiles and the comfort it brought to those kids of interacting with seniors. We know that intergenerational integration is so important for our residents. A lot of them don't have relationships with their grandkids. They may live far away. So bringing in children now that the pandemic is over and being able to interact with residents, someday these young men might be employees of ours because of the experience that they had at our community that day for that senior prom. And so we're always marketing. We're always trying to get new employees. But sometimes we know those people we meet that we may not see them again for 2 or 3 years down the road, but we are harvesting really great benefits from what we've planted and worked the soil over when we planted these seeds with all the people who join us. And so we had a local young man who came and sang live music for us. What a great joy it was. I used to be the executive director at this community. And so to go back and see how they've grown, how they are still embracing life enrichment every day and bringing joy to their residents is just the best for me as their former leader. And I'm just so grateful that we get to share on a large scale here with Link Senior how we are all growing and how we're all thinking outside the box, giving each other ideas. I think before the pandemic, I think, we're always doing those competitive analyses in our communities to see what the competition is doing and, can we do it better? But I think one of the things that the pandemic taught us, and I think Stacy kind of alluded to this as well, is that we learn from each other and we've had to come together and do new things. And so this opportunity on the summit to be able to share some of the great things we're doing is a real training tool for all of us, that we're not in competition so much as we are joining together as a team to help each other. Because believe me, there are plenty of seniors around this world who need our help. And that's what we're here to do. So I want to make sure that you understand that as well. Let's see. We really focus for Prestige 2 on body, mind, and spirit for our wellness program. And I think all of these encompass what we do for our body, our mind, and our spirit. And if our spirit is strong and we're enjoying life, that helps us to get out and try some of those new activities that help our body and those things that help our cognitive and our mind. And so anytime that we can step outside of ourselves and help our residents maybe step outside of their safety zone mentally, but physically keep them safe, is really important to help grow our communities and bring life and help our jobs every day to remain fun and what we enjoy doing every day. So thank you so much for being with us today and all the ways that you have shared what you're doing in the comments. It's the best. I'm so glad we're a part of this. Thanks, Charles.
Angie, anytime. And I hope your granddaughter, you said, would enjoy the holiday. So Michelle, I can't wait just to hear you and see you talk with what you have on your head. I can't only stare at your eyes. I also see this here. Michelle, excited to have you. Please share about yourself and some of your work here.
Thanks, Charles. I know we're running out of time, so I'm going to try and concise.
Yep.
I've been in the field 30 years, been making my founding year is this year. So I'll be with Kendall at Oberlin for 30 years this year. So I'm pretty excited about that. I'm an art therapist by trade and training, board certified. And I've been here at Kendall at Oberlin, at which I'm really proud to be a part of this community. Can you go to the next one, Charles? As you know, I've been listening all day to the many different speakers and some of the things that people are saying, and I love the idea. I'm one of those staff people. If I know where the boundary is, then I kind of like go a little out of the bounds every once in a while. So yeah, so I'm like, but as long as I know where it is, I know where I can push it. So I think that was a really great thing that was mentioned today. And Kendall is all about that. We're this little, we are in the Oberlin community. We actually are on about 110 acres. We have about just over 300 individuals that live with, that is their community. We really were started and founded by the people living in Oberlin. So we're a little bit different that way. I'm going to leave that slide up, Charles, while I talk a little bit about volunteers, and we'll end. How about we end with that really short video that we made, that 1-minute video. Do you have that queued?
Yeah, I have it queued. Do you think we could do everything in 2-3 minutes to have a discussion afterwards?
Yeah, we can do it. It's only a minute, but I guess I wanted to talk a little bit about was before we play the video is I don't know about many of you, but we were struggling. We're in a little town. The high school has like 60 something to 70 something kids graduating in its class. So we really are where our staffing is not so strong. So volunteers are really, really important. We pull them from Oberlin College, we pull them from other places. And I have to say, there's a thing called I just want to give everybody a few tools. So tool number 1, handshake. If you've never heard of handshake, please look into what it is. That is the way that college kids look for, where's there an internship? Where's there volunteering? How do I get connected? So definitely look at that. I do have students over the summer. I actually have 8 of them here, and I get a lot of high school students. I really limit the amount of what we call junior volunteers, middle schoolers. I do have the other one is, if you have not heard of Volgistics, it's VOLGISTIC. It is my volunteer management program. Without it is, I don't know about the rest of you, but trying to keep up with the regs and CARF and all of the other things that we have to do, that is the only system that has helped me do that. And then the third resource, believe it or not, is SurveyMonkey. So one of the things that we were struggling with is we are bombarding our volunteers with so much information that they have to have and that they have to do and have to sign in order to be a volunteer with us. I put it all on SurveyMonkey. So they can all do it now by watching it on SurveyMonkey. And then I take the SurveyMonkey, I can PDF it and load it up into my Volgistics program, and voila, here they come. So these are some really great things. There's a whole discussion we can have on how do you keep them, which is really about making sure that what you're assigning your volunteer is meaningful to them. So let's go ahead, Charles, and show that video, because I think that brings that point home.
All right.
Hi, I think that college students should intern or work with older adults, specifically at Kendall at Oberlin, because it has changed my world in so many different ways, and I feel like I look at the world in a different way than I did before working at Kendall, and I have made the most meaningful, genuine connections.
Volunteering at Kendall has just been such a great experience, just from meeting so many amazing people and getting to share, my passion for music with them and hear their stories about their lives and their interests, and just all around every time it's so enjoyable.
Most importantly for me, I love volunteering at Kendall Oberlin because of those really important intergenerational connections that I forged with Kendall residents. My experience at Kendall was made up of those small moments of generosity, of kindness, of learning about another person that really make you feel like you're making a difference in somebody else's day, and more importantly, making them know that they're making a difference in your day, and thus empowering each and every resident that you meet at Kendall Oberlin. I love volunteering there throughout my 4 years at Oberlin College.
Thank you so much for this. I know we don't have tons of time, but Joanne and Bryan, the floor is yours.
I love my team sparkle we have on here today. I had this shirt, this jersey made just for this. But I want to start with Stacy. Stacy, we talk about moments of joy, what brings you joy. One of the things that I did in a community that I worked was always, from day one, ask what brought the residents joy. And whether it was a steak or whether it was chocolate peanut butter ice cream, or they wanted to go on a buggy ride, and made that happen. Like, clocks tick for a reason, and their clocks are ticking. So why do we wait? So, finding out what these residents, what brings them joy and making it happen. Don't take no for an answer. Going to Angie's facility, seeing the Chippendales there. I mean, somebody made a comment in the chat box that I don't think my community would be up for that. It's not the community's decision. It's the residents' decision. How can we get to yes? Don't take no for an answer. And volunteers, Michelle, they're important. They're so important. And she mentioned, Handshake. That is a very good tool. I have heard of that before, so make sure that you check that out. And just sparkle. I mean, if you're going to sparkle, you're going to sparkle like you mean it, people, right? Nobody's going to sparkle for you. Add that to your programming. Add that to the residents' lives. Help them to sparkle. They deserve this. So that's my 2 cents for right now.
Love it, Bryan. Joanne?
Yes, well, this is wonderful. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I'll give a shout out to the men. You talked about the Chippendales program. I heard about something this week at the Nodana meeting, which was one of the facilities the men wanted, and they wanted a place that they could go and curse and just be men. And they started a cuss and cigar club. And they held it at certain places, and they would just cuss and play cards and smoke cigars and have limited alcohol, I imagine, and watch sports. And that was very popular. The men loved it. So that's another great idea. I loved hearing you talking about investigation, because I think one thing that's so key to this is really being good detectives. And when you're talking to residents, but even when you're in their rooms or apartments, looking around, what kind of things do they have on the walls? What kinds of, records or books do they have? Because, often they may not think to tell you things about themselves, but if you're an observer, you can, you can pick that up, and you can come up with something that they would love that they may not tell you about. So I love the idea of being investigators. I think that's really important.
If you were investigating my room, Joanne, you would know exactly what
I think I would. I love that. Well, so I think that those are two things that I thought about. And somebody in the chat did ask how you got people in the tubes to do the slip and slide. Was that difficult? And were there concerns about safety? How did you address those?
Well, we didn't have anyone that needed a Hoyer lift. They were able to bear weight and pivot. In some cases, we used a slide board and we did have a physical therapist available as well to make sure that we were using proper movement for our residents. So that's how we got it. And they were secured in the slip and slide. They did have attach a belt to them, like a seat belt.
Cool.
So they were secured and wouldn't fall out. And let me tell you, the giggles were worth it.
Yeah. I guess my final question is just that, there are some people who are probably more like me. I'm kind of a loner, I like weird things that other people don't tend to like. And, finding my community has always been a little more challenging. And I think there are probably a lot of people like that. So how do you identify and support those individuals who maybe aren't going to want to do the same things that are very more generally popular, that they have kind of specific tastes. And when I say weird, I don't mean like, creepy weird. I mean, just unusual or different, that kind of things. How do you support some of those people who tend to be a little bit more loners or a little bit more, individualistic so they don't feel isolated?
Start with them.
Right.
Start with them and then back off from there.
Right.
Incorporate, every single thing that you do is activity, right? And it can be picked apart and stretched out. And so you have to look at everything that we plan as being dynamic, and they're always being more. I call it the exaggeration game, right? With my teams, I call it the and practice, but get ridiculous, but start with the weird, start with the offbeat, build it around them so that they have a comfort.
Great, I love it. Anybody else have thoughts on that you want to share?
I would say the same thing. Like, so we had a gentleman that wanted to do racing, but he couldn't do that anymore. So we went and bought, and we had the early learning center, and we had staff all bring their remote control cars. So then we did a race, and then we started with just a race around in the main area. Then somebody started adding obstacles, and then all of a sudden down the hall we had like you had to go around this, and then you had to go around that, and it started with just him. He's the only one that wanted to do it, right? But then in the end, it grows.
That's great.
Mm-hmm. Well, we learn from the weirdos. I mean, I am a total weirdo. I love a weirdo. What's that?
People wearing pink gloves today.
Jazz hands.
I saw in the chat a lot of people talking about, reporters coming in, a local newspaper coming in to cover events. And I love that. And I guess I would just like to say, when you have these great stories, don't forget to share them. Call the local paper, invite a reporter out to some of these events, invite local legislators, the mayor, whatever, out to these events. Local celebrities. I did an event years ago and there was a Hollywood star in town, and I reached out to him. Everybody said he'll never come. He came. You never know what you can accomplish. But when you do these great things, don't forget to take a little bit of time to get your stories out there and promote them and get some attention for them.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say that just kind of reminded me, we just did this weekend. We didn't realize how many of our residents have grandchildren that are transgender. And because of all the news and what's going on in Ohio, this all of a sudden bubbled to the top. So they actually went and supported a local youth group that supports transgender. And they're actually doing a lot of social justice, which I'm like, right? It's not the norm thing that we would do, right? But this all, again, bubbling up from a resident saying, hey, I'm worried about my grandkid, and this is why.
Wonderful.
And I would encourage people to learn to be a good storyteller.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many resources, marketers as well. I mean, everybody, but I mean, if you're going to be putting stuff on social media, learn about it. Free resources out there. You know, I'm trying to, I'm a little wordy. So, you know, concise and, you know, the right descriptions. So you can get your point across and share the entire experience. We sell engagement, right? That's what we do.
Absolutely.
And for everybody. And it is possible. So
Yeah.
learn
And I
how to
think
do it right.
Brilliant.
I think too, you know, we're not just serving residents who were in World War II any longer. We're looking at people who grew up in the 50s and the 60s and 70s, where we saw Woodstock and we saw protests around the Vietnam War. And so they're the generations that speak out and they have opinions. And just like Michelle said, you know, they're seeing what's in the news. They want to address those things. They all want purpose. They want to help. They want to be a part of the world still. They don't
Right.
want to be shut off. And so we need to give them those opportunities for them to still use their voice and feel appreciated for their opinions and what they do.
I
Yes.
wanted to go ahead. Sorry.
No, go, please.
Oh, I wanted to just, do you guys have any just ideas that you've come up with that haven't been done, that you'd love to see someone do somewhere? I have one, but you know how you keep these little nuggets inside and then no one will take you up on it, or you don't have the bandwidth. I have just a few little things and maybe we can kind of round robin on that. What do you think?
Yeah.
Okay, so just a
Oh,
couple
Stacey,
ideas.
one thing, just as a reminder, we have 4 minutes, so literally
Yeah.
30-second on each will be.
Ageless games.
Speed round. Speed
Throwback
round.
Thursday, ageless games, all this stuff, jacks, marbles, do them all, get them from your residents, from your staff, hand clap games, 20 questions, Simon Says, no cost, super easy, everybody does it. You can throw it on your calendar every single week.
Thanks, Stacey.
Go.
Michelle? Michelle, do you have quick tips, quick ideas?
Well, no, I was thinking we wanted a kerplunk, so we made our own, right? We went to Five Below, the basket and the bowl, right? So like, right, that's the thing, like, once you get the idea, like, how do you, instead of paying for Jenga, right?
The best thing that I saw was the Hungry Hippo that they did with the staff.
Yes,
Yes, that was amazing.
That's a good
that
one.
was so fun.
Yeah. Angie, any last minute tip or idea?
Well, we're finding that a lot of those old retro candies that are coming back, you know, at a lot of like the local groceries, you can find them on Amazon even. And so our residents asked for a retro candy bar in one of our communities. And so we're setting it up with the retro things like the, you know, the different types of gum, fruit stripe gum and all those kinds of things, the Zagnut bars and all that. Just to kind of celebrate some of the older candies that are kind of coming back into theme and then having a dance centered around it. So just something simple, but it doesn't cost us a lot. So, and one of the pharmacies in town donated a bunch of candy bars for us. So ask, don't forget to ask.
Yes,
Cracker
like we
Barrel
said
had
before, if you
retro.
don't, yeah, ask and you'll get. One quick thing is, Megan had a great idea, which is to challenge the audience. If we have any picture of ourselves as a unicorn, with a unicorn, close to a unicorn, please post it on our Activity Strong Facebook group, your selfie, your pictures, whatever. We'd love or like them. I will personally go and like and comment on any of them. And before we close out, I want to thank you, Stacey. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Angie, for helping us have fun today. Michelle, I want to know where you bought this thing. And then Bryan and Joanne, any last minute thought before we wrap up this session?
No, I'm just inspired and excited. It was really fun and I'm glad my unicorn and I could be with you today. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne. Bryan?
I'm proud of Team Sparkle. That did me
Team
proud.
Sparkle, I love that. Yes. One last thought, and I loved all of our discussion today, but I think there's one common theme that we've expressed all the way is regardless of how good we think we are, or we may are, we're all doing some kind of engagement, right? Stacey, you said it, but I think that all of us 100% agree and express this, is that whether we know it or not, whether we have decided or not, we are engaging, right? So the only question that really matters is how good are we going to be at it? And to Michelle's point, the place to start is always the resident. But like to Angie's point, when we listen to them, who knows where we'll go. As long as we do it correctly, you know, it's always going to be an amazing marketing thing, because it's always going to be about life of our residents. So with that, I want to thank you. I never knew I would do a Zoom with 900 people plus with a unicorn on. I'm not going to give it, I'm going to keep it.
Right.
And with that, thank you so much. Have a wonderful afternoon. And I'm going to close this session today. Thank you so much, everyone. That was